All right.
Right.
All right. Part 2.
That's the
The
way to start it.
Alchemist. How you doing, Omar?
How you doing, TJ? I'm good.
I am great, man.
Cool.
We are here, part 2, The Alchemist, reviewing this classic inspirational book. If you haven't watched part 1, you may want to pause this and rewatch or go watch part 1 before we get into part 2 of this classic novel. Omar, before we dive into the book, I have to say, I am a big reader. I'm not usually the kind of guy who likes to read fiction books. I usually save that for watching movies, and that's probably why I've never read this book.
Yeah.
But what I love about this book, it's like part fiction, but it's real. You know what I mean? It really applies to today.
Yeah.
And well, all life, but it applies to realness that we all experience. So it provides that satisfaction for the mind that likes to fantasize and drift away, but also it's very relatable. So
True.
I loved it. But before I ask you a couple questions, because I know this is one of your favorite books, Omar, I want to say hi to everyone who's watching.
Hey, everyone.
Everyone who's yes. Okay, so I got a compliment on my hoodie already, which is Say Something. It's a brand. But anyway, Omar.
Yes, TJ.
We're going to go through our quotes like we did last time. We ended part 1 with the boy being crushed because he had the thief stole everything for him. He was going back home. He was about to give up his dream.
Yeah.
He had nothing to his name, and the merchant was like, I'll give you something so you can get back home. What happens in the second, real quick, a quick synopsis of the second half of the story? I'm sorry, I didn't want to put it
That's
that
the
way.
hardest question to start with.
Okay.
You know what's funny is that when I wrote the first part, I couldn't stop reading, so I just went practically
So you just went through
the whole book,
Yeah.
But I did stop at one point because I wanted to read the last half a few days before we do this. And what's funny is that the way I read it today at my age is different the way I understood some stuff when I was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Reading it, I discovered some new stuff and some new meaning about certain parts,
Yeah.
But that was to me, even if I knew the story, that was the most interesting part. And that was really
well, for what happened was, the kids, my girls aren't in school, so I had them join me. They didn't read the first part with me, but I had them catch up to me, and then we read the second part together. And kind of like what you're saying, they're 12 and 9, so I think they're seeing all the story and all the meanings a little different than I am. But with that said, I of course took the opportunities to try to explain all the great lessons I think the book has. And the first, and I think the most important lesson that I think troubles so many people in this world, no matter where you're from, no matter your age, no matter your gender, to me, the F word is the big one. And that's fear. And, especially for the youth out there, there's so much fear of rejection, of losing, of struggling. Thanks probably because of social media. I think it's just inherently in us, but I think social media adds to that. And what I loved about this book, it tackles that in a very innocent but profound and strong way that I was able to break it down for them on the importance of not succumbing to a fearful mentality and fear of what could possibly go wrong. So I'll start with that, but I there are some great quotes. I like, that's another reason why I like the Kindle, and I don't like even though I have it here, the physical copy, I always read on my Kindle because I like to underline and be able to access the notes and use it like a notepad. And there were some great quotes that obviously flowed with the story, but are profound, like I said, for a kid or for an adult. Do you want to go into that, or do you want to say something different? Do you want to start somewhere else?
We can go for the quotes. That's cool. So when you read the whole book, is there one quote for you that just stand out or that really you could relate to?
There's so many. There's really, honestly, there is a lot, which was very, very pleasantly surprising for me, because when I first started the book, I thought it was more of a fictional, just a story. But
Hmm.
there were some profound quotes that I was like, hold on, we're underlining this. What does this mean to you, Joe? What does this mean to you, Didi? And then
Hmm.
I said my interpretation of it. Um, One that is not one of the main ones, but one that I think is pretty strong, relates to this question that Momo has. I think The Alchemist is a story about love. What do you think, TJ? And I thought I had the quotes in here, and I do. Hold on. Okay, here we go. When 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 um when Santiago, the boy, when he falls in love with Fatima, and he has that beautiful moment of time. We don't know how long it is, but when he has that moment of time of connecting with this person, when he feels like you are my treasure, where I don't need to go any further, you're worth it. When the whole change of the vibe, when she pushes and urges him to find his personal legend, and says that she will be there and supporting and waiting for him, that whole exchange to me is true love.
Hmm.
So when I think of this question, is a story about love? I absolutely do. And I remember pausing and trying to, because I think this is a golden opportunity to tell our kids that we live in a day where we could be very selfish. We could be very, it's about me, and what about me? It's all about me. And this was a great example of when you find someone that's going to support you and urge you to support what you want to do. It's a beautiful, that to me is true love. And it goes both ways. We have to do the same thing for others. So there's this quote that says, you must understand that love never keeps a man from pursuing his personal legend. If he abandons that pursuit, it's because it wasn't true love. And I thought that was one of the better quotes, especially when it pertained to love and the
Hmm.
importance of having a great support system. And I hate to say this, there's many people out there that, to me, that don't have that, and it breaks my heart. And I think it leads to a more challenging kind of life. So you have to find that person, that's going to support your goals. And if you're in a relationship now, you have to have that honest conversation with that person, that each of you need to go for what you want to do in life and be in life. And our job as the spouse or the significant other is to support that. And I think that message has really gotten lost in today's culture.
It's true. And you know what's in the book, at one point when he found her, and he's like, he told her about his dream and what he saw, and he was like, but you know what, I can stay with you. I found you. You're my love. I know it's you. You're already my treasure. And she's like, no, you should go for your treasure, even knowing that he could die out there because
Yeah.
there was a war. And that's what I like when what you're saying, TJ, is today maybe we don't see enough of people supporting what their companion dream is,
Yeah.
even if it's not for them. I think it's the beautiful thing to like support the dream of someone else and help him get to that, because if he gets the dream, he's going to share it with you, and it's going to be beautiful.
100%. 100%. Um, and here's the thing. I just don't think you could be genuinely happy or fulfilled, especially towards the latter part of your life, if you don't go for it. If you don't, and the one thing, I know people of all ages and will be watching this, but I honestly think it's never too late to go for something or to do an iteration of something you want to do. I mean, it may be too late for you to become a professional football player, because you can't run like you used to, or because of your joints or whatever reason. But you could still find something to do in that field that really satisfies you. And I think that's important, that we support each other to do that. Because
Mhm.
like I said, when we're 70, 80, 90s years old, that's something that we're going to wish we would have done. And to me, that's what's most important, is living a life with no regrets. And I
Yeah.
even ask people, I've asked several elders, and I read books written from elders' perspectives. And that's one of the biggest things they say is try not to have any regrets. If you want to do something, do it. Don't let, a financial situation stop you. And I know it's hard for people to hear that, but if you have to downsize, if you have to, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth going for your goal and going for what makes your heart happy than to think that, you have to live a certain way, or, live a certain status.
I agree.
And here's another part. This is another one of the quotes, because what me and Omar do is we pick out a couple of quotes from the books and then we like to talk about it. So that one was one of the ones I picked. Here's
I really
another.
like that one.
Yeah, and here's another one that to me is another important lesson in the book. When someone makes a decision, he's really diving into a strong current that will carry him to places he had never dreamed of when he first made the decision. I flipped out when I read this because I love that. And again, what I loved about this book that Coelho does is he says things in a way that's so simple, but really hasn't really been said before. And I've read a lot, but I really haven't heard this message, at least in this way. And the way I interpreted it was, when you go for something, when you decide to make a journey to go after something, life's going to push you that way. The universe may be working for you to help you get there. But the best part is there's things that are going to happen along the way that can alter that, and that you're going to develop and learn. And that's going to really make the journey what it is. So even if you, for some reason, don't feel you get there, or you didn't get there, or whatever, the fact that you went for it changed your whole vibe and changed your life in such a strong, positive way.
Yeah.
And like he said, it'll take you to places that you've never dreamed of. And I think that's so valid, because you're not planning on certain things to happen, and they just do, and that's only, to me, it seems to always happen when you pursue something. It's not going to just hit you if you're sitting on the couch not wanting to do anything. But if you decide to go for something, you're going to get a great life of transformation.
Here's a question for you, TJ. Was there a dream that you had, or you still have, that you doubted at one point? Like he doubted a few times in his path, So a dream you doubted being able to do, but you took the decision and you were able to do it the right way and get it.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty good at this, Omar. I'm pretty good at just going for things. I loved real estate as a kid. I went for real estate. I got my license for real estate right at the height of 3T when I was 20 years old, because I wanted to do it, and that took me on a whole nother journey. At the same age, I moved to Texas. Something that my entire family was not for. They were worried about me, but I knew what I needed in life. And I had another answer, actually, just when you asked that question, but I'm going to go on this first. I remember it clearly, and it's kind of like the personal legend thing. I was trying to find my own self, trying to find my own identity. I grew up as a Jackson. I, was very comfortable as a Jackson, but I wasn't fulfilled at 20 years old. I didn't feel like I had grown into everything I could be. And I obviously still don't, but I felt like I was far behind because of maybe the sheltering, or because things were given to me and things like that. I really wanted to be on my own. I wanted to live in an apartment. I wanted to live normality. I remember Francis saying, "Are you crazy? I've been there. I've been there my whole life. There's nothing great. You're not missing much," type of thing. But I desperately I needed that. So we moved to Texas and tried to live so simple. We lived in an apartment. People don't know this. I lived in an apartment for a good year and a half, and was content. I think those days were probably, from a year's perspective, probably one of the best years I've had. Obviously, touring with my brothers, fulfilling the dream, that's way up there. Traveling with my uncle when he's doing sold out stadiums in foreign lands, that's amazing. But as for me as a human, that year to year and a half in Texas was I still think about it. And that's why I always say I'll probably end up going back, because it was such a great moment for me. Could I have articulated that before I went? No. But it took me going and experimenting and trying. I rented a U-Haul truck, which is those big storage trucks. I loaded up my own things, and I broke things. I didn't pack right. I lost some things, but it was that experience and that growth which was invaluable. That's part one of that question. And then the other, what was I gonna say? Was there something I didn't? Yeah, and I would say the other was probably just my music career. I didn't expect it to do this. I didn't expect it to be in this route directly. I was literally just writing for other artists in Nashville, and it just all of a sudden I went, like I said, I went to Nashville to write for other people. Now when I go to Nashville, it's just for me. I don't even go to write for other people. I go for my career. I didn't plan that.
So like, do you remember that the moment, because you were writing for other people and you wasn't like pursuing a solo career, but do you remember the moment you said to yourself, all right, it's time for me to go solo. Let's do it. Do you remember what context you was in, how you felt about it at that moment?
Well, there was a couple things. Like I said, there was a lot of songs that I knew I thought I could do or was meant for me that I was writing, and I felt like it was my voice, because in my mind, at least in my mind, I feel like there are songs that are for me. You know what I mean? And I don't want to say, I hope it doesn't come off wrong, but there's ways I hear melodies and ways I hear things that I feel like someone else will do it different than I'm hearing it. Not that their way is wrong, but for my music and what I was doing at the time, I wanted it to be how it was in my head. And I really didn't get that complete opportunity when I work with my brothers, because there's three of us and we're all three entitled to the art. But when it's just you and you have complete control, and that's one thing I'm blessed with David Tulin, my producer. He's so great at that. He's an amazingly talented person, but he's so good at letting me be me and saying, it's your career, you're artist, this is your song. You have to live with this. You're going to be singing this song till you're 60 years old or whatever. You're going to hear it. You're going to share it with your great grandkids. So you have the ultimate say. And when he says that, I'm such a pleaser. I always try to make sure everyone in the room is happy. But when he says that, it kind of resets me, and it's huge for me because, like I said, I think I naturally give, but when he says that, it fulfills me more, because then I get to go for me. But yeah, those are the two main things. But I want to throw the question right back at you. Was there anything for you?
Well, before I answer you, TJ, that would be interesting. I'm not trying to escape it.
Okay.
I'd just like to ask maybe the people, like, what's their personal legend right now or dream that they're pursuing?
Love that.
That can write it down in the comments. We would love to know, of course. So what's the question, TJ?
Well, no, I love that. I want to know, Omar, was there something for you where you went for something or didn't know what to expect, and same thing you asked me, and it changed, or it took you to another place that you weren't expecting?
Well, here's the thing. I think on that level, we're probably a bit alike, because I don't think too much. When I feel it, I just go with it and I'll see what happens. And the thing is that the most time I do it, I've heard people tell me, you took the wrong decision to do it. And I don't say anything. I say, probably you're right. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And you can see sometimes a few months later, a few years later, that decision took you to a whole nother level on what you wanted to accomplish. And I feel good about just taking decisions because in the book, it says a moment, you should listen to your heart. It sounds cheesy, but it's true. I think it just feels like you should listen to what your interior is saying to you. If you have that little voice saying you should do it, just do it, because at one point it's just going to come back in your mind and repeat and repeat and repeat. So you just better do it once you get the chance to do it, and don't lose any time.
Beautiful. Okay, Omar, we're gonna add Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
How are you? I love your
good,
smile.
very good.
I love your smile.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm a bit excited, obviously.
Well,
but thank you to have me, and thank you to having me.
Yes, well, welcome. And what do you have for us? What did you want to share?
I want to share the part of the book that I really, really enjoyed. It was exactly the one that he left the girl, and and the girl said, you have to go because you have to follow your dream. So remind me a bit of myself, because I did pretty much the same. And if eventually the boy, it was not doing it, and the king, as the king said to him, you will regret, because in few years she will be not happy with you anymore, because you will be always focused on the dream that you left behind.
Yeah.
So this is very important to, like you said before already, to support and your loved one,
Yeah.
to always push them. And this is this bit of the book is a kind bit of the story of my life. So I really I really put myself into the story.
No, I love that, Sam, and I think that's, like I said, I think it's a message that doesn't get spoken enough in our culture. I think
Exactly.
somewhere along the line we've kind of lost supporting our spouse, or supporting our significant other. We all love the person, we say we love them, we do a lot of simple things, but when it comes to finding that their personal legend and what really makes them tick, what they said they wanted to be when we first met them, I think it's really important that we support them and really encourage them to go after it. And
Exactly.
everyone out there that's doing it, big kudos and congrats to you. And it's huge. Big compliments
Yeah.
to you, because it's not as popular as we wish it would be.
Exactly. And this is why I really enjoy that part of the book, because just a little note is my partner is a singer, and it's like he's an artist. And when we met, I was living in Italy, and I moved over here in England for love,
Yeah.
and to push him to follow his career, and to do what he's doing, what he loves to do. So yeah,
And
I'm
that's
here to support.
from one artist to the significant other, or the supporter of an artist. Thank you. It's so, because what it does for an artist, it clears our mind. When
Yes,
we know that we have who we love supporting us and believing in us and encouraging us and giving us confidence, it makes such a difference. You
it's
know,
true.
and I really, honestly, as an artist, want to thank you for that, because that's a priceless thing. And there may be other careers or other opportunities that may be financially more rewarding at this time, but it's the soul that matters. Because if you guys are together, and when you're 60, 70, 80 years old, you're going to be happier knowing that he gave everything he had to pursue his career. And
Exactly.
that respect and that bond you guys will have because of that position is more valuable than anything. I promise you. So
It's true.
big love and congrats to you for that. I think it's
Thank you.
very powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam, where are you from? I know you said you were in Italy, but where are you from now? Where are you at?
I'm in London,
Okay.
UK.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Sam, for reaching
Thank you
out
to having
and
me.
joining
Thank
us
you.
on the discussion. And again,
Thank you.
big props to you. You got a lucky partner over there who has your support. So
Thank you.
make sure in the comment section you put give a profile where we can go support him.
All right, I will.
A page, his
Thank you.
Facebook, Instagram, somewhere, so we can go support him. Okay.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And thank
All
you.
right, Sam. Take care.
Bye,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
That's beautiful.
You say it all, TJ.
Yeah. Right. I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, Omar, your turn. A quote from you. Ready?
Sure. Let's go.
You want me to pick one of the two you
Yep.
highlighted?
Mhm.
Okay.
My
You will
turn.
never be able to escape from your heart, so it's better to listen to what it has to say.
Well, I think that's what we just talked about a few minutes ago. And what I love about this is that sometimes you just have to go with what's happening, not think too much. And if you just feel like you want to do something, just do it. Don't think what other people going to think, or what's going to happen, because you won't know what's going to happen until you do it. So, and
Yeah.
I'll say this, and I told you already this, TJ. You remember, well, this was like 10, 15 years ago. I I had to do like I had to go like in I had to be a temp at
Yeah, I love this story.
yeah.
I was gonna ask you, but I didn't want to put you on the spot. So please share this story.
There you go. So attempt to do some editing in an office, and that's the only thing I found at that time, and I had to do that to get my degree. So it was kind of like I was doing that, and after when I finished that night, I was doing my school cinema. So I did that for like 6 months. That's probably where I get the never sleep stuff, because I didn't sleep.
But yeah, by the way, Omar does not sleep. Just an FYI, literally does not sleep. I don't understand, but go ahead, Omar. Finish
I'll
this.
tell you my secret one day. And the thing is, they called me and they said, "We like your profile." I didn't write much, but hey. And but we need you to do some editing on Final Cut. And Final Cut wasn't that popular in the time. Now it is. The thing is that I did not know how to use Final Cut at all. I had nothing. And they said, in 3 days, if you can come, you can start. So I was like, so what should I do? So I just say yes and see what happens, because I'm going to have to work for them and do some hard stuff. So I just said, yes, I'm a professional at Final Cut. Let's do it. And I was not. The next day I went and I bought a book, because at the time there was no like YouTube or tutorials. I read the whole book in 1 day and I practiced. And when I came like 2 days later to do the thing, I just went for it and I just learned on the spot. All that to say that sometimes if the universe gives you some signs and say, here you go, here's a present for you, take it, just take it and learn after. It's all good. Anyway, you're gonna learn either before or after. So just take it and learn. That's what happened that time. So
love it. I love that story too. Anastasia says this is a great quote and it sounds easy, but it can take some time to trust your heart and trust your gut instinct. But once you do, a whole new world opens up for you. Absolutely. One Facebook user wants to know, Omar, do you have insomnia? Insomnia. All right. Channdre says there's only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve, and that's the fear of failure, which to me, it's the F word. It's a bad word, and it's the true hindrance and true obstacle for so many of us is fear. Is fear of not only failing, but fear what we look like, fear if we're measuring up, fear if we're doing it right. Let fear go. Work hard, go for your things, prepare as best as you can, practice as much as you can, but when it's time, just go. Just go. You could start right now and become whatever you want. Just do the research, especially today with YouTube and all the tools that are, at our disposal. There's a couple, I like to DM new followers, and there's a couple of them that are artists, and I tell them, some of them are quite young, and I tell them this is a golden opportunity for you. I don't care how many followers you have. Start now and just slowly keep building, keep improving your craft, keep learning, and keep figuring out how you can get better, and it's so amazing. The reason why I'm saying is because I feel like there's such a skepticism when they hear me say that, like they can't do it, maybe because they're from a remote part of the world or because they're from Iowa or wherever they're from. But in today's world, I don't think it was ever a complete closure, but in today's world, it's really not. We can find someone to do something anywhere. We're so united. We're so close together as a world right now with all our options that no matter where you're from, you could do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and you know what, TJ, I think everybody can relate to that, because we all have fears, and So what I like to do is sometimes I like to take it the opposite way. So when I have a fear of something, I try and visualize myself being able to do it, and being successful at that. It can be very simple things. It can just be you walking to the door saying hi to the girl, whatever. But if you visualize it, it's going to work out for sure. The same way that if you're scared of it, it's going to just keep you locked in. So
Absolutely.
Always visualize it, and it will help you achieve it for sure.
God Purple says she wants to write a book. I
Yeah.
think it's a great time. You don't need a big publisher. You can, write a book now with your word processor and edit it and upload it. If you want to get a professional editor, they're out there. You can reach them. There's all different budgets. So everything is possible. My strongest suggestion is to just do it. Don't say, one day, one day, one day. Do it if it needs you to do a page a day. After a year, you'll have 356 pages, and that's a pretty good sized book. So, even if it takes you a year or two, just don't ever say I can't do it, and don't not go forward. That's to me the key.
TJ, by the way, how do you I know everybody has his own way to do it, but when you write, I know you're writing a book, like,
Yeah.
how do you write it? Like, when you have the ideas and you want to write something, how do you put it down? Can you explain that?
I write. Like, oftentimes I'll read and I'll think about things. I read all different types of book. Like, I'm so bad with titles, but one book I'm reading is called Better Angels, something something. But Better Angels is in the title, and it's a huge book. And the funny thing is, when you read a book on a Kindle, you don't realize the size because
Sure.
you don't know the end. So I've been reading this book, I swear, for 2 years, and I'm literally still like 20% into it. But it's really been profound because it's just, that's a great book. It just talks about how we're actually becoming more of a peaceful society, and it even though we don't think so, it's the news and stuff that's fearing us. And then there's another book that's called How to Raise or I'm sorry, The Vanishing Adult, The Vanishing American Adult. Incredibly profound. For any parent, I strongly recommend reading it. Any parent, especially if you're dealing with any struggles with your kids in today's climate, I strongly recommend you read it. But I'll read a book like that and it will just trigger a lot of ideas, and then I'll take what the author is saying and continue the thought process further, and ask myself questions and ask myself scenarios and apply it to my life, apply it to my friends' lives or my family's lives, and really try to understand it. And then I'll make a note. I'll literally just start typing on a word processor. And I think that's part of my problem, is because it's kind of scattered. I have enough for a book right now, but I'm trying to make it in the proper format. And plus, I want to give a couple more years for me to really, go through more. Like I said, I want to do a parenting book, and I still have kids that are going through different ages. So I still want to get a little bit more experience before I release it out to the world, where it will be there forever. But regardless, I'm going and I'm doing it little by little.
What I like about your answer is that you're taking your time, and sometimes it's all right to just take your time, even if it's years and years. It has to come at the right moment when you feel like it's the right time. So never rush, and if it takes some time, it's okay.
And I don't want to put Momo's father on blast, but I love this, and I'll read this real quick. I wanted to become a retailer. My father said I could never achieve that because I'm bad at math. I still made it and got my degree. I proved my father wrong. I love this because, first of all, you're not alone, Momo. And another thing is, when we hear things like this, we naturally think our fathers are not supportive fathers, are not good fathers or whatever. But a lot of times, you guys, we have to understand, parents just want the best for us. And they may think they know all the answers, but in reality, it's you who has to know the answer, and it's you. And it's something that I think all parents can get better at, is just supporting your child when they can articulate what they want to be in life. Because a lot of kids can't tell you what they want to be in life. That's a whole nother thing. But when you have a child that says, I want to do this, I know I do, no matter what it is, as long as it's legal and as long as it brings happiness to that child, we have to support it. Omar, I had a question for you.
I had a question for you, but you can go first.
Gloria actually has a question. She wants to know if you have any regrets.
I'll let you go first on that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really don't have many regrets. I've said, I used to say, and I used to say that me not going, my uncle would always call me in the middle of the night trying to urge me to go straight from high school to the University of Pennsylvania, because I got into the Wharton School of Business, which at that time, it was the #1 business school in the world. I still think it's probably top 3. It's usually always number 1 here in the States. And it's just an amazing school. And I remember it clearly. I was probably 17, 18 years old. And my uncle would call me in the middle of the night saying, please tell me you're going. Applehead, please tell me you're going. I just had a business meeting with these people, and they went there and they said it changed their life. And they said, you'd be crazy not to go. And I remember going there and saying, this is where I should be. And, I remember walking into a class to see what the vibe was like. And there were people from all over the world, which is what I loved. And it seemed like the smartest people talking about business and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, this is where I need to be. But on the other side, I had 3T. I had my brothers, and we were touring all throughout Europe, doing incredibly well. And it was hard for me to put that aside for 4 years. It was hard for me for myself, but it was hard for me for my brothers. I couldn't see myself doing that to them. They're my older brothers. They kind of forewent their college life and their college path.
Mhm.
And I didn't feel comfortable making that decision, off of that. So I never did. And do I have regrets? I guess that would be one, looking back, because we didn't even release another album till 6 years because of the whole situation. Maybe my uncle was putting the pressure on because he knew what kind of situation we were going into. But at the time, I didn't know that. I thought we were recording, and I thought we were coming out with another album soon, like in 99 or 2000. I didn't know it would be 2003. Or actually I should say, or I thought it would be in 98 even. But things happen, and I've learned to not really regret that, just understand that experience and learn from it. And things, as you say, Omar, all the time, the universe has its path for a reason, maybe if I win, I wouldn't have met Francis. You never, so
Exactly.
So it's you just got to trust your life. I just think the key is you got to chase after what feels right.
Now I'm going to say this, and it should not be part of this discussion, but what you just said is very true, is that the way you met Francis, because I know the story,
Yeah,
is so like you had to be at the right time at the right moment for that to happen, and that changed your whole life for both of you. So
Omar,
that's very true what you said.
Omar, honestly, that is such a valid statement. It's not like we didn't even live in the same city.
Yeah.
We lived 45 minutes away, and where she lived, where she worked, she went the other way, and where I lived, I was at the edge of where I would go. So we just happened to meet in Hollywood because of friends. And like I've told you, I don't know if I've said this, I haven't talked to the friend I went with the night I met Francis since that night. And it's not like we had bad blood or anything. It's just life just took us different directions. If he saw me, I'd give him a hug and tell him the story.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even believe it. And similar to Francis, a friend urged her to connect, and she's not even super close with that person either. So life just has a way of planning for you. And I think we have to embrace it and learn from it. And not every situation is going to end up golden and great, but we have to learn from it and try to see the lesson and respect that it came.
What year was that, TJ, when you met Francis?
98.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of math here. So you met her in 98, right?
Yeah, October.
You finished the album promotion tour in 97, I guess.
Yes.
Around there.
Yeah.
So maybe if you were like, the second album had to happen and you were like recording, doing the music videos and all that stuff, touring, maybe you wouldn't have met Francis. Maybe you wouldn't have Royal and
and the rest of the crew. No. And here's the thing, Omar, I wasn't the kind of person that liked to go out. I didn't go out. I probably
one time thing. Do you remember why you went out that day?
Because he came over, my friend. He was one of those that liked to go places and do things.
Yeah.
So a compromise for me was Universal City Walk. And that was like a place where you just walk as an outdoor mall. It was fairly new at the time, but I think it closed at 10 or 11. And when we got there, it was pretty much closed. And we were relatively close to Hollywood. So he's like, I don't want to go back. Let's go out somewhere. And we exited, Vine, I think in Hollywood, because that's like the most popular exit off the freeway. And we just pulled into the first lounge club we saw. And as I was going in, Francis was leaving. And that's where we kind of made eye contact. And that's a whole nother fun story that I'll share at one point on the family rules. But it's true. It's like it wasn't planned on either side by no ways. And it was just fate deciding how just pushing us in a direction.
I think
You
that's
know?
beautiful.
Yeah. And I will say this too. I'm trying to look for it as I'm saying this, because there's a big quote in the book.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I gotta find this. So, let me ask you this though, Omar. Did you ever answer that question?
Which one?
What was Victoria's question?
No, I did not. Okay, so first, before I answer this question, I'm not trying to escape it again, I promise. I'll just ask in the comments, what would be the best advice someone gave you in life? If you could write that down, I think we would love to know with TJ.
Yes.
And to answer Toria, I think I thought I had some regrets sometimes, but when you go through life and you understand certain decisions and what happened, you're like you said, it was meant to be, it had to happen for that reason, but I didn't know at the time. So I would say right now, I don't have any regrets.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
No regrets.
Do you think most people have regrets, Omar?
I think they do, but I think they don't understand maybe why they have regrets. Like, maybe they don't see the bright side of why they did something or did not something, Yeah. So I think it depends on how you see it.
Yeah.
The way you view things will make the whole difference in life.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to pull up this quote, but I guess there's a difference. But did you also ask the audience to say if they had any regrets?
Yeah, if you have any regrets, let us know. But or like, what would be the best advice someone gave you also? Because I think an advice can change also your whole life,
Yeah.
Someone can just give you an advice and you can follow it and it just change your whole path.
Okay. I can't get the quote up, which is
it's all right. I have a question for you now, TJ.
Yes, talk to me.
In the book, at one point, our lead character, he gets stolen his money. It's all going wrong for him, and he's like, "What did I do? Why did I do this? I should have just stayed where I was. I was all good, and why did this happen?" And later on in the book, and we're going to talk about the end in a moment, but later on in the book, you understand that bad thing had to happen for all the good things coming next had to happen. So that one bad thing made happen all the good things after. So my question to you was that, do you remember something in your life where you thought it was bad at first, and later on you realized that it was the best decision or best thing to happen to you because of what happened next? Is that a hard one?
Yes, Omar.
You've got some life experience. Come on.
Yeah, there's a couple. Can I answer that at the end?
Sure.
I want to answer that one at the end.
100%.
That I think that would be better. That gives me time to articulate it right.
You have two things to do: answer that at the end and find your quote.
Okay. Well, the quote is just long. I found the quote, but I can't put it up here. Patricia says the best advice is to take each day one at a time. Don't worry for tomorrow, and no regrets on your past. Beautiful. And what I wanted to say too, real quick, to both you, Patricia, and Omar, and everyone who's listening, of course. There is a moment in the book when I love this, because Santiago, the boy, sees Fatima and he says something about how the past becomes non-important and so does the future. Nothing matters in the past and the future. What matters is in the present. And he felt like it seemed like that was the first time he had experienced that moment, that kind of true love moment. And that was a similar situation that I could feel like I went through, not in that day I met Francis, but in those 6 months to a year. Everything was good. You know what I mean? And it was just a beautiful time in my life as well. And I think we have to embrace those situations and understand and listen to our guts when those situations come. You know, it's important to. And we're not always going to be right, but we're always, by doing that, I think we're always putting in ourselves in a situation to learn and to grow. And I think that's key, because if you don't put your heart into anything, you're not really investing in the opportunity to grow.
Yeah, sure. And it's okay to make mistakes, you know, like people like are scared to make the mistake, but by
Yes.
making the mistake, you learn how to do it right. So I think it's even better to make the mistake like a few times to get it right, you know, and don't be scared about that.
Omar, another quote that I loved: every search begins with beginner's luck, and every search ends with the victors being severely tested. Love this. And I thought it was genius how he wrote about this. And because I remember relatively early in the book, he was talking about beginner's luck and how it's kind of like a ploy to keep you going. And of course, we're going to win in the beginning. It's normal and we're going to feel great. But I love how he re-mentions that quote and adds to it towards the end when things are getting tough. When, you know, to explain that, sure, you're going to win early, but at the end, if you're going to be a true victor, you're going to get tested. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to go through some very tough times. And there was another quote that I didn't write here, but it was something like the darkest hour is the hour right before dawn. Powerful stuff and really important stuff, because I think that's something that we don't, as a society, we don't seem to ever really pay enough attention to that. We're so quick to give up. We're so quick to say it wasn't meant to be or it's not for us, that we have to really understand everything great. If you really want to achieve something, you're going to have to go through some serious tough moments. You know, this was it. The boy remembered an old proverb from his country. It said that the darkest hour of the night came just before the dawn. That's it, you know, and it's the truth, you know, so don't give up, people. Don't give up.
So TJ, someone's saying the way you think is funny. I think we should make a GIF about that.
Where is it?
I don't know. It's somewhere up there. I thought it was funny. So yeah, we'll probably make some GIFs of TJ thinking, laughing, shouting, doing some stuff. That would be cool.
Kalia says the best advice I've been told is to listen to your heart and to never worry about the past. Look towards the future. It's very important. Because Sienna says, because I don't live in either my past or my future, I'm interested only in the present. If you can concentrate only in the present, you'll be a happy man. I'm not sure if that's a quote from the book, but it seems like it. If it's not, I'll give it credit to Sienna. That's a great quote. All right, Omar, what else did we have to do before we need to wrap this up?
You have to answer some questions, TJ.
Okay, so what's the question I need to answer?
So in your life,
yes,
when something bad happened, and I think we all have many examples, and you realize like a few years later, or whenever, that bad thing that happened was actually a good thing for you. You know, the way it turned out at the end. So if you could give an example and share with us something that happened to you in that way. You see?
I should know this, and I did know it. I'll say this. This is what I'll say. Okay, let's do it this way. So realistically, if it's not my favorite song I've done, it's my second favorite song I've done. But either way, out of the 20 or so songs I've done, it's my top 3 song. And it's funny because this song, the writing session for this started completely different. I was supposed to write with one writer in Nashville, and for some reason he couldn't make it. I don't know if he flaked. I don't know if something came up, but he couldn't make it. And the person I was working with that was putting together all my writes said, do you want to just take those 3 hours off? Or I could try to find someone to plug in and you can write a song with that person. So I was like, I'm here in Nashville, you know, this is what I'm here to do. Let me write. I don't care who it is, as long as the person wants to write and wants to do it. I don't care if they haven't written anything, because I think he is a young writer and he didn't have any credits to his name, but he was a talented kid. So one day in Nashville, we connected because of the other guy didn't make it. He came in his place, and we wrote a song. And the song is called "Get With You," and it's literally one of my top two, three, maybe my favorite song I've done. It changes per the day, but either way, it's a very important song for me. And that would have never happened if the writer I was first supposed to write with, that has a lot more credits and a lot more reputation,
Uh-huh.
didn't cancel. And it wouldn't have happened if I said, you know what, no, it's okay if he hasn't written anything. Nah, don't worry about it. Maybe when we write something, I can write, because that happens all the time. And then again, to me, it goes to the ego. You got to chill that ego. You got to just let sometimes the universe decide, as Omar likes to say. And in that day, the universe decided to pair me up with this kid who's never written anything. And like I said, we've written one of my favorite songs I've ever written.
But hey, TJ, also that's true what you said, but you went with it. So like you said, all right, let's do it, And like you said, some people Jay, I'm not gonna do it, it's fine. So like that was maybe a sign, and you took the chance, and it ended up being one of your favorite songs. So
yeah. And I would have never not one part of me was debating whether I should. And I think that's just me. I just find a way to justify everyone. I really do. I think everyone, if you're going after something, I feel you have the ability to be great. No matter what the rest of the world says, no matter what your resume says, I honestly feel if you want something and you're putting in the effort to drive somewhere to try to do something, you can be great. And whether it's the beginner's luck thing or not, you can come up with something great. And like I said, that first song I absolutely love.
Yeah, and that's actually we can now just spoiler alerts if someone is still finishing the book. That's actually the ending of the book where he finds the treasure. Well, no, he doesn't find the treasure. He's digging the hole,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't seem to find it. So these two guys comes up and are like, "What are you looking for?" And he doesn't want to say it. But at one point, he says it, and they beat him up, and they try and find the treasure. They don't find anything. And at one point, they say to him, "You know what? 2 years ago, I did a dream also. I dreamt there was a treasure near a castle and whatever. I didn't go and get it because it's just a dream." And what's beautiful about that is that even if at that point he didn't find his treasure exactly where he was dreaming about it, doing that journey made him get the information he needed to find the treasure, the real one, where it was actually where he started. I think that's beautiful. Sometimes you have to do the whole journey, to understand where you need to find your treasure.
And I think that's an important thing. And I think we have a false sense of idea of what a goal is. We have to respect the value in the process, in the journey, because that journey provides growth, which can change the whole course of where you're going in life. And as soon as we can put more value in that journey and in that growth, I think we'll all be better off. We'll all be more aggressive towards what we want to be in life,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was one more quote, Omar. Did we do this one?
Yes, I think we did. When we strive to become better. I know we did not. When we strive to become better, then we have everything around us. Yeah.
I mean, when we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too. And to me, this is something I'm big on. I don't believe in negative energy. There's not much that can rile me. I had to get on a child yesterday because when it's negative energy, no one wants to be around that. And you have to, within yourself, want to be better yourself. And then you're going to make others around you better by just having an optimistic mindset. And it's getting hard, like I said, in today's world where it seems like everyone's being down. And I get it, especially right now with the pandemic. I understand that, but at the same time, we have to find a way to see the positive side of things. Some things you're not going to be able to see the positive side of at this moment. If your spouse or significant other is literally holding on to their last breath, I'm not saying those situations. but I'm seeing a lot of people out there really down on things that shouldn't be getting them so far down. To me, it's a catalyst to make a change in your life. And we just have to perceive it that way and respect that gift that we're getting, that something is off in us. And we have to make that change to fix it. You know, and I think it's all perspective. You can't drown in that sorrow. You have to find it and see it as a gift to impulse you to change.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have already tried this, TJ. You're gonna tell me, but sometimes I like to take a challenge, and someone who's negative that I can find around me, I try and turn his negativity into positivity, because I think in both ways they're contagious. So if this person is negative and you go to him and you're drowned in the negativity, you're just going to drown you both yourself. But if you're positive and you give him that, he's going to turn, he's going to shift positive, and it's all going to be better. And he's probably going to thank you for that later on.
And I've said that many times, but I've even taken a step further where, like I said, I like to do that with my music. That's what insomnia is. You know, insomnia is, again, I don't know how it's seen elsewhere in the world, but here I've heard people say, I struggle with insomnia. I take medication for insomnia. You seem to have insomnia, but you accept it. You grasp it. There's nothing. It's all how you can perceive things. There's so many things we want to be and do in life. And if we could switch the way we see things in words, I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
One more thing I want to say, Omar, and to me, this is an important thing about the book. What I loved, you know, The Alchemist, it's an inspirational book. I think it's written to inspire us to dream.
Love it.
But one thing I love about it is it's how it's a metaphor. You know, the definition of an alchemist is a person who transforms or creates something through a seemingly magical process. And the book to me is a metaphor that we can all be our own alchemists simply by chasing that dream, our dreams. You know, we have an opportunity for growth and for fulfillment by trying to be an alchemist, by trying to change things. So in a world where we are so hesitant to accept change or want change, we have to embrace change, you know, and this is something that I believe in wholeheartedly. I believe change is healthy. I believe change is good. I think it can give you a great opportunity. So for anyone out there that's dealing with, you know, scary times, try to see it as something that can propel you in a great different direction. Stay positive, stay strong. And, you know, like I said, in maybe 2-3 years, you'll be looking back at this moment as a blessing. And I have other examples. I don't know if I can share them publicly, but it's already happening in my life a bit. There's things that, because of this pandemic, keeping us in some things, you know, like we are supposed to be in France and doing videos and doing the 3T show. That's all getting pushed back, but maybe there's a reason for it. You know, maybe there's a stronger reason. And we can give this little nugget. We're editing. Omar's editing the last night video, and she completely changed the vibe of it because of this, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And it's coming out to be somewhat cool. So I just think, yes.
Let me just say this before you continue. If all this stuff didn't happen, the situation in what we're in, and of course it's not the best, but like you said, this situation also helped us, you know, continue being creative. You know, we even like just created this group because of the lockdown, you know. So
there you go.
I think we tried to take the positivity the best we could to, you know, to bring it with other people, and that's what I love about also you, because you're very positive. So together we're kind of too much positive. It can annoy people, I think.
There can never be too much positivity.
And
but you said it right, and I completely missed that. But you're 100% right. This group is a complete example of what comes out of, because this group wouldn't have happened without the pandemic. I remember the conversation. It was like we had these kind of conversations personally, and it's like, why don't we just make it a group and invite other people to watch and join in?
It did not happen like that. It happened like TJ was like, that would be cool to do a group. And I was like, okay, let's just do it. And I promise in the 10 minutes, the group was made. The name was found. It was like And that's what I like about you, TJ, is that you don't think too much. Like if you feel it, you just go with it, and it, you know, it just brings beautiful things at the end.
Yeah.
I was like surprised. I was like, whoa, he's good. That
Yeah.
was quick. That was really quick.
Yeah, and well, I have a different perspective, but with all it's all, I don't know. But one thing I will say, Omar, one more very important thing, because it's so interesting. I think, and I got to be careful on how I say this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Mhm.
I think some people, I've seen some people say the book is too religious. I've
Mhm.
seen some people say it's taken away from religion. It's downplaying things. I'm a religious person. I'm not incredibly religious. I'm not the person that can recite the Bible and stuff like that, but I do believe in God. And the one thing I will say, I don't feel this is taking away anything from God. I just don't. I believe God is this source. I believe God is the one who's pushing us into doing these things. So I want to make sure that's known, because I've seen some comments where I think people are feeling that it's taking away from God. Maybe because of the alchemist angle, the magic and the spell, maybe, but I don't see that as the driver of the book. I don't. I see it all as in following your heart, following your mission, doing the right thing, and love. And that's how I see it. And I don't know.
So TJ, should we just wrap this up and talk about what we do next week?
Yes, you're gonna leave that though.
All right. So next week, we just decided this like an hour ago. So we looked at all the recommendation you guys gave us, and it was cool. I see big fans of Titanic there, so there you go. That's cool. We'll do that one day. We went for the movie called The Pursuit. Tori's gonna have to help me on this one.
The Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness. Sorry. That's with Will Smith. It came out, I guess, in 2006, 2007. And what's beautiful about this movie is that it kind of relates to the book we just read. With he's giving some life lesson advice to his son. He's getting some signs from the universe, and he's through a tough situation. And you can see him go through that, and the movie is great. So I think we can have a lot of discussion around this movie. The Pursuit of Happiness. There you go.
So there you go. So next weekend, next Sunday, we are going to talk about the movie The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. I seen it a long time ago. Don't really remember it. Gonna watch it again, and we'll have our conversation. But that's it, Omar. Let's close the show out. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for contributing. And that's it. We'll see you next weekend.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
TJ.